Shifting gears now, we do have a special guest joining us in studio today. I want to welcome in Judge Stephen Bailey, who again is running for a California Attorney General. Thanks so much for joining us here on One American News Today, Judge.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, so let's get right to it. You're a former El Dorado County judge. You have years of experience that you're bringing to the table here. Election day is coming down to the wire. You're challenging Javier Becerra, again, a Democrat in a historically blue state. Tell us about your election so far.
Well, we're out working every single day throughout California. I'm spending most of my time here in Southern California, particularly here in San Diego, although, you know, everywhere in the Inland Empire, San Diego is prime area for Republican votes, and I'm out encouraging Republicans to get out to vote now. It's critical that we turn out to vote in this election and vote our values. You know, if we vote our values, California can be turned around and we can be the Golden State again.
All right, and I do want to point this out. You did say something that struck me early on in your campaign. You said that you think that it's time for an Attorney General who is focused on solving problems here in California, someone who's going to stop the unconstitutional sanctuary states. Let's talk about that. With everything the Trump administration has been doing so far to secure the border, how do you think current Attorney General Becerra has been impeding his efforts?
Well, this whole sanctuary state issue that my opponent supports, by the way, is what is driving these caravans towards California. As the news has been reporting recently, many of the people in these caravans are coming towards Tijuana because they know California has what they think is the sanctuary state. Quite frankly, Californians are compassionate people. However, we are also law-abiding people, and we want people coming into this country, you know, lawfully, and not just pouring over our borders and then disappearing into our cities and towns. There's no reason that California should be subjected to these caravans where these people are coming here illegally.
Right, and then there's been concerns brought up as to, you know, they don't have the manpower to vet. They don't know who's coming in through these caravans that are slowly making their way. We know that the president has been mobilizing a campaign to secure the border. He's even considering signing an executive order that would ultimately act as a travel restriction. We've seen him do this in the past when dealing with situations like these. What do you think about that approach?
Well, I think, you know, the president has a duty to protect the citizens of our country and to protect our borders. And I support his attempts to secure our borders. It's the reason why I also support the border wall, because then people have to come in an orderly manner. They have to come through the regular ports of entry that we have along the California and the United States border with Mexico. The bottom line is orderly immigration is supported by Californians. Disorderly immigration, lawlessness, is opposed, and that's why there's such a clear contrast between the current appointed incumbent, who seems to support this lawless entry into California, and myself. I want a seamless, fair, objective, lawful entry system into the United States.
Right. You said you've been campaigning, getting out there a lot and focusing on a lot of these areas that Republicans are really trying to sway voters. And what do you hear on the ground when you go and you talk to constituents and voters? What are you hearing? What do they want to see change as far as immigration goes?
They want to have lawful entry into this country. Nobody opposes immigrants coming to the country. We're a country of immigrants. What we oppose is people illegally entering the country, disobeying our laws, having no respect for the rule of law.
All right, and then let's shift gears a little bit. The Attorney General's office has filed more than 40 lawsuits against the federal government since President Trump has taken office. I'm sure you're well aware of all of these. Talk a little bit about that. What sort of challenges does that present our president as he's, you know, trying to make all these changes, implement these laws to secure the border? What is this doing? Is this helping? Is this impeding? What's your take on that?
My take is that many of these lawsuits are frivolous. For example, he sued the Trump administration on the border wall. he sued on issues that Congress had already exempted the wall from. And in fact, federal judge here in San Diego denied the restraining order that the appointed incumbent requested. That wastes taxpayer money. We have more important things to look at in California. We need an attorney general whose focus is on California and California first, protecting our citizens. I like to say protecting our kids and our grandkids.
Definitely looking to the future for that. Let's talk a little bit about today's events. Of course, when you sat down here with me initially, we're still listening into the press conference, the DOJ, FBI giving an update on the recent string of bomb threats happening around the country. How do you feel about that? Talk a little bit about that as far as a security standpoint, since you come, from so much experience dealing with these sort of issues.
Well, political violence or threats of violence can never be condoned. But I think we ought to praise both our federal and our state law enforcement authorities. They are the best in the world. They protect us every single day. And I think how the speed of this investigation, where bombs are found just days ago, literally hours ago, and they've already got somebody under arrest. It just goes to how skilled and qualified the FBI and the ATF and our local and state law enforcement authorities, and how they work so hard to protect you and I. I think we can be proud of the work that they've done, and how skilled the prosecutors have been in developing the charges against the particular individual who's been arrested. Now, obviously, the person is innocent until proven guilty. That's the way our system works.
Right.
We give him due process and the protections of our Constitution and our legal system. But the bottom line is to have a law enforcement group, agencies at the state and federal level working together, makes these things come out with a resolution where nobody's injured. Threats are made, but nobody's injured. And that is something we can be proud of.
Right, and I think it's safe to say that most Americans can get behind securing the country, no matter what side of the political aisle you fall on. Now, very quickly, we're going to wrap up, but how can people help your campaign if they're interested?
Well, they can go onto my website at www.bailey4ag.com. They can volunteer, they can donate, they can get more information about my campaign and the issues that I stand for.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much again, Judge Bailey, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.